President of European Court, Schiffer O'Leary, distinguished presidents, distinguished experts, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor and pleasure to welcome you to the second Gender Equality Forum for the Judiciary that we're organizing in Belgrade this time. As I'm sure everyone in this room will agree, it really is imperative for individuals, for organizations, for businesses, and for state actors in our region to take action to counter gender discrimination and to counter violence against women, which remains such an entrenched part of lives of women in our region. And it is with this goal in mind that last year, after the first Judicial Forum on Gender Equality and the Western Balkans, we established our Gender Champions in Judiciary network. And its growth since is the testament to both commitment and the perseverance of all of you in this room. And it's also testament to how pressing this issue is. As women continue to lose lives at the hands of closest to them, fail to report violence, or withdraw criminal proceedings prior to their conclusion, we recognize that concrete and immediate action is needed. And the rapid expansion of our network tells me that there was a lot of you who were waiting for the opportunity to act. And I'm delighted that I see here in the audience many of our friends and colleagues whom I've considered gender equality champions and who have joined us in what we can call a movement. Today, we gather to speak about how judiciary could be playing a more effective role in addressing the widespread gender-based violence. But the fact is that these issues are only a symptom of wider, deeply rooted inequality. The roots of the gender-based violence are in our societies. They're inextricably linked to the prevailing patriarchal hierarchy, inequality, and unequal distribution of power between women and men. And what's sort of saddening sometimes is that in the Balkans we speak about this culture with some degree of acceptance, in the sense that it's been entrenched for so long that it's too complex to handle. And you'll see we just had media here, and I'm delighted, and I'm sure that we have those who report on these issues in proper and accurate way, but we will see titles, and often, far too often we'll see titles where femicide is reported as a family dispute, as lovers' quarrel, perpetuating the notion that gender-based violence is an isolated, private incident, not a societal problem. And in doing so, we turn a blind eye to larger problems at hand, problems that stem from educational and economic inequalities, as well as lack of inclusion of women in positions of power. So there is no easy solution, and while today we will be talking about gender-based violence and femicides and judicial response, we have to acknowledge and address underlying causes of it as well. We all know that countries of the Western Balkans have actually very enthusiastically embraced international conventions. Our domestic legislative frameworks are in good order. It is the implementation that is lacking. And very often the network of institutions involved in taking action in cases of gender-based violence is uncoordinated, ill-equipped sometimes to handle the complexities and sensitivities, and in addition, the societal perception that this should be treated as a private matter aggravates the problems. And that is why at this forum we must seize opportunity to speak about judicial response, but also how judiciary could be engaging with the rest of the system and ensuring that response is adequate. Last year, when we embarked on establishing the network, we actually had rise, not only we, whole of Europe, had rise in gender-based violence cases as a consequence of COVID crisis. And following that, we have taken action and have conducted research in all of the countries of the Western Balkans, focusing on judgments in the cases of femicide. And you will hear more about results of this research and specifically about judicial response and where judiciary needs to do more in order to comply with international recommendations and international standards so that it plays its effective role. This forum is an opportunity to exchange views throughout the region. Our study shows that we face same or similar challenges, and that therefore these sort of discussions are particularly useful. And I invite all of you to openly discuss the challenges, to share ideas, and to help us design our action as a network going forward. Finally, I'd like to thank all of those who made the event possible. President, judges and former judges of the European Court of Human Rights who have not only taken time to join us today, but have taken time to help with the preparations of the event. And then in particular those who are also patrons of our gender champions in the judiciary network. To thank UK government, and I greet both the ambassador and Alicia Herbert, who will address us very soon, and who is FCDO's gender envoy with a global role, for recognizing the importance of this work and for giving us means to conduct it. I'd like to thank Commissioner for the protection of equality and thank FEMPLATS as our partners in convening today's event, and by way of closing remark, to thank all of you for your enthusiasm that you've shown by participating, and to thank you in advance for what I'm sure will be invaluable contributions.